Okay, so been out of commission for a few days, and we'll catch up to the lessons in a little while. But first, I wanted to read or deal with this little blurb that comes before the lessons to show you what this is all about and how this is working for you. And also, I know many people don't really bother to read these sections as well as they do the lessons, simply because they don't think they're important. But when you do read them, you begin to get a sense of yourself and how well the author actually knows you. I mean, here's a section that's saying, next few lessons make a special point of firming up your willingness to make your weak commitment strong, your scattered goals blend into one intent. You are not asked for total dedication all the time as yet, but you are asked to practice now in order to attain the sense of peace such unified commitment will bestow, if only intermittently. It is experiencing this which makes it sure that you will give your total willingness to following the way the Course sets forth. And I think it's interesting that the words are used, following the way the Course sets forth. So obviously, this is a well laid out plan, and it's unlike other courses, let's say. This course has a particular methodology that's useful within itself for a totality of purpose, which is what this is saying. It's also saying that it's operating with the understanding that, as of yet, maybe your commitment isn't total. Maybe you're still scattered in your goals. Maybe you still feel like there's weakness in what it is you're attempting to do. And it's possible that when these ideas come up into your mind, when you're doing these lessons, and all of a sudden you begin to get an idea of, or you feel a sense of being scattered, let's say, or not having such a strong commitment, or as strong a commitment as you think or you would like to have. Don't don't use those thoughts as means, as tools of judgment on yourself. It's important because this is a course in learning that you're innocent and that all your judgments are false. So don't give in to the temptation to think that just because you're having these thoughts, the thoughts have validity and have more power than the lessons that you're being offered, and offer you any understanding whatsoever, when this is telling you it understands the state of mind you find yourself in. And of course, after being habituated to identifying with the ego for such a long period of time, breaking the identification and freeing yourself from the mandate and the dictates that seem to be offered to you by a world of space and time is going to take a moment. And yes, there's a transition period, and so be it. Allow yourself, accept what's going on, because it's not always going to be like that. And if you go back to the beginning of the lessons, or prior to even doing the lessons, you'll understand that the changes that have already occurred in you are going to continue. So there's no reason to lose your faith. There's no reason to judge you. Your mind and your heart are changing, and you're beginning to get glimpses, at least intermittently, and experiences that are in line with what it is we're being offered, that this course sets forth. Now, this is a course that is self-contained. It has all you need and all that is necessary. And as you advance and you begin to be able to more efficiently and consistently hear the voice within yourself direct you, you'll begin to see what's useful and what you're guided to. Don't think just because you're not reading all types of spiritual books, and let's say you find yourself thinking differently than perhaps other books of a spiritual nature have offered you, that something is wrong here. This course is totally consistent within itself, and it's offering you a way out of the dilemma of the dream and the nightmare of space and time. Don't compare it to anything else, because comparison is of the ego, and the ego wants you to do that. It wants you to do that as a distraction from what this is bringing about in you, the changes that this is bringing about in you. So don't worry about the weak commitment. Don't worry about the scattered goals. It's true. There's a great line. There's a great line coming up in the next lesson. Our lessons now are geared specifically to widening horizons and direct approaches to the special blocks which keep your vision narrow and too limited to let you see the value of our goal. Okay. Now, from the beginning, this has been said that we can't tell you the meaning of love. We can sure help you find the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, and we're still in the practice of undoing those blocks. So when the blocks do come up, don't think that that's failure. That is what this is about. Helping you find those special blocks that cannot be found in another way, in order to give you and use the technique that you've been learning from the beginning of these lessons to eliminate them, so that you can allow your horizons to be broadened, your vision and your view of what's going on to become more and more inclusive, so that it all comes into a single focus, to a single intent. You may still have intentions that seem to be operating within the world, and you're about to have those brought to your attention as we do these lessons, so as you can understand why they have been, and with the experiences that come from the doing of the lessons, why it's safe to release them and no longer be concerned about them. So just trust what's being offered to you. We're attempting now to lift these blocks, however briefly. Okay, I understand that people get a profound sense of failure when for an instant they think they've released something, seen what's beyond that the block has been interfering with their seeing or vision and their understanding, and yet when they face another situation, they experience that block once more. Okay? Don't worry about it. Don't let the ego dictate or judge or tell you whether you're doing this the right way or not, because it has no ability to be honest and truthful in its evaluation of you, and it's been the problem since the beginning. If for even a second the block is lifted and you get a sense of freedom, it's that sense of freedom and the lifting of the block which will be the continued motivation for your fulfilling your function and experiencing the goal that this course sets out as you continue on the path that it offers you. It's very simple, and yet because the ego is anything but simple, it offers you complex misunderstandings in the thought that because they seem intellectually appealing, they have the ability to be right about what it is that's occurring to you, and they simply don't. Salvation is simple, it's total, you are whole and perfect, and in the instances when you release a block, even for a second, you get a glimpse of that. Now, all the time, throughout the whole process, the ego is going to use the lifting of that block, the glimpse, against you in a way, because it learns and tries to stay ahead of your progress by offering you senses of failure and frustration at the inability to maintain the clarity that occurs when the block is lifted and the horizon and vista is open to you. Just let that be so. The light has entered your mind. You're consciously aware of it, where you had not been before as an experience, and it will be enough motivation, and it will help you remember at a time when remembering is optimal in the face of the maximal forgetting that you can allow yourself now, and once that you've actually begun to pursue the goal that is offered, and the experiences are coming to augment that pursuit. Okay? Words alone cannot convey. These are funny sentences to me because words alone words alone cannot convey the sense of liberation which the lifting brings. Of course not, because words and everything within space and time are designed to define and keep you in prison, and it's all a reduction here. Yet that bright spot in your mind is no reduction, and I understand that when you go to talk about it, outside of the experience, that there's this sense of not being able to convey the magnitude of what's occurring to you, quite simply because words are designed to separate and define rather than allow you to experience the fine nature of your own being as you undergo these experiences of change, even if they are only momentary and intermittently. So of course words cannot convey. Words can't convey, but you can. Words cannot convey, but you can communicate it. It'll just be communicated in ways that may be, in a sense, unfamiliar to you, but are coming back into your mind as recognizable within your own experience of how you work as a soul within the kingdom, and how other souls within the kingdom recognize each other by the brightness of the experience they're having, which is beyond the words. So don't worry about that. There's always a sense of frustration in the teacher when he's trying to convey something that was so clear, and yet in the energy of the confusion of the minds that it's attempting to convey it to, because it knows that each and every mind would love to have such an experience to free them from their own confusion and own imprisonment, it falls down and gets reduced a little bit. Don't worry about it. That's just another opportunity for you to begin to understand the nature of perfection in reality, and how this world here is anything but that, and how the minds and hearts of those who are yet unprepared, while they have the ability to communicate and hear, in a sense, what's beyond the words that you're using, they have yet to welcome them, because they're still pursuing the world on the world's terms. And you, in your experience, have changed your mind and are beginning to understand what this next few sentences are going to talk about. But the experience of freedom and peace that comes to you comes as you give up your tight control of what you see speaks of itself. Your motivation will be so intensified that words become of little consequence. You will be sure of what you want and what is valueless. It's that simple, and there will be instances when you're in situations when suddenly it will dawn on you what your real goal is, and you will see what is meaningless and valueless. And perhaps it will be a surprise to you, because you will remember a time when what you are thinking now is meaningless and valueless had great meaning and great value to you. And you will laugh at your own past mistakes and see the nature of the change that's taking place in you, especially in relationship to others who don't seem to have recognized the valueless nature of what they're pursuing, and perhaps can't understand why you're giving up the pursuit of something that you previously enjoyed pursuing with them. but no longer find joy and satisfaction in. That's quite okay. It'll show you how you've changed. And in a sense, it'll be a demonstration to others as to how changed someone could be in the face of what they thought was going on prior to the experiences that you've been having. And so we start our journey beyond words by concentrating first on what impedes our progress still. And the reason why this is important is because you are already whole and perfect. You are already eternal. You are already God's love. You are already infinite. But it's been the concentration on things that are not of that nature that causes you to lose the experience and forget about the truth of who you are. So we don't have to learn the truth, we just have to unlearn that which impedes the certainty of our experience of who we are as true beyond the words that we're utilizing to practice the means by which this occurs. Remember in the introduction, in the preface to the last review, we don't want to set up the means as a magic formula. We want to get beyond the means once and for all. So while the means are important, they're only important in relationship to the goal. And when the goal is achieved, why would you carry the means with you? You just live in peace and harmony and love that the goal offers. And let that be the demonstration, and let that be your teaching. And when somebody finally asks a real question of you, you'll have an answer for them. And that's always the best time, when somebody else's curiosity is piqued and their attention is now changed, when they're not so focused on what they think and are obviously looking for an answer themselves, and they come to you and ask, what makes you different? Why are you different? It's not the same as you used to be. That's not in a bad sense, although they may lament it for a second because you're unlike they had thought you were. The light in your eyes and the smile on your face will show them that there's something happening. And if they desire that happening, it will be theirs instantaneously, because they will have ears to hear, and they will hear. And they will have eyes to see, and they will see. And then when they ask an honest question, they can hear the honesty and simplicity in the answer. And then you can express what's been going on to the best of your ability. And of course, the words may not be as satisfactory as the experience, but you're beginning then at least to have everything come into a single focus, everything come into a single intent. Everything is, in one sense, reassociating back to your reality, rather than causing you to be scattered in your pursuit of the worldly goals, in which they seem to be disparate and separate, and therefore not, in a sense, organized by a single intent, which is what this is all about. We have a single divine purpose, and everything is coming into focus based on that. And there are things that are valuable in our pursuit, and there are things that are just plain worthless and valueless that simply no longer have a place within our mind and our heart because they just don't serve our purpose any longer. Experience of what exists beyond defensiveness remains beyond achievement while it is denied. I don't know what you do with a sentence like that. It makes perfect sense. Experience of what exists beyond defensiveness remains beyond achievement while it is denied. Of course. So you got to stop denying by looking at your own denial and no longer wanting to employ it because it's just not helping you in what you decided to pursue and achieve. It may be there, but you cannot accept its presence. So now we attempt to go past all defenses for a little while each day. No more than this is asked, because no more than is needed. It will be enough to guarantee the rest will come. See how gentle and easy that is? That's why in the beginning it says you're not even asked for a total commitment yet. You're just asked to do this and allow the experiences to come, because as the experiences do come, you will be changed, and the joy and the peace and harmony that the experiences bring will be the motivation for the continuation. And in the light of that joy, peace, and harmony, you'll see the meaninglessness of what isn't that and recognize it has no value and therefore has nothing to do with you as God created you. So therefore, we can just be a passerby and let it all go.